This is third generation psychic Michael Gutenplan, and you're watching the Break It Down show.
We were just talking off mic, and it's just one of the things when I started the show was I've had such an interesting career being a spy, going overseas. I'm like, I have to bring these stories. What I didn't realize was how many times it relates to anybody's life, anybody's career. Like me, me running a podcast, a lot of what I do is simply what I did in a less dangerous environment. But you're bringing up a point, like being a mentalist. We're doing the same work, right? Different tools sometimes, maybe different ends and means and everything. But I have to look at, first off, I have to spot, assess, and recruit. Right? I have to find people that are going to be valuable to me and solving the questions that nobody can know the answers to. And the enemy, like we had a great example the other day of an intelligence failure when Hamas attacks Israel, right? Like, how do they know? Well, Hamas doesn't want you to know. It's like that's sort of the point, right? So all of this goes into you're trying to find things out. I'm trying to find things out. We have a certain number of questions or inferences or bits of data to do it. And it never occurred to me that it's very similar what we do.
It is very similar. There's a very strong difference, though, and a really important one. If you get caught doing what you do, you get shot or tortured. If I get caught, everybody gets a good laugh and we go have a drink at the bar. That's the big difference. And I would say it's pretty big. It's pretty big. The intelligence agencies, let's see if I can find, I have the book here somewhere. Intelligence agencies have used magicians and mentalists to teach deception, to teach trickery, to teach pickpocketing and mental manipulation, really for the last, at this point, 100 years. It started with a guy named John Mulholland. And there's a book called the Deceptionist's Guide to the CIA, and it was actually a declassified manual of sleight of hand for spies. And even today, if you are an officer in training at the Central Intelligence Agency, you take classes in magic and pickpocketing and hypnosis and suggestion. So it's not kind of overlap, it's direct overlap. When you have, there's two types of things to think about. There's magic, right? Which is sleight of hand, it's trickery. And then there's mentalism, which is slightly different. It's in the same path, but it's to the left of it. It uses a little bit of psychology. It uses a little bit of forced psychological manipulation. You think you're picking something, but I'm actually making you pick it through unseen ways. There's the third, which is psychic entertainment, which makes you walk away going, was that real? Did that just happen? And the real difference is a mentalist will be on stage, a magician will be on stage, and you go, boy, that man or woman, that person is incredible, right? We applaud them. When a psychic entertainer does their show, you are applauding me, but you're really applauding yourself. And you made a living doing manipulation. And I always say to people, we get manipulation wrong. We think manipulation's a dirty word. We think it's, I'm tricking you. No, manipulation is having someone else do something, thinking they're doing it for themselves because you want them to do it.
Yeah.
They come up with the idea. They move forward. You're not a blink in their eye. They're going, I'm going to choose to do this on my own. All the while you're pulling the strings. You're manipulating them. And that's kind of what I do. So when someone says, oh, is it fake? Is it a trick? It's not, because I'm using trickery. I'm using subtleties, but it's based on real stuff. So I think the difference is one is a trick. I've done some sort of sleight of hand that you didn't see. And the other is I did some sort of mental sleight of hand, and I consider the mental sleight of hand real because it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you said a lot there. You said
that was a big. I don't know where I went with that conversation.
No, but you went in a perfect spot because so you talked about the manipulation part, and there's a real dance there, at least. And I'm talking from my point of things, but I know this is going to work out. The other thing is we talk about exploitation. This is something I need to exploit: a piece of data, a newspaper, a person, their access, because we play for keeps. Like this is major leagues. This is do or die, that kind of thing. And when we terminate a subject, on occasion that means they terminate, but sometimes you terminate with prejudice. Like, we will never talk to this person again, and that's it. Doesn't mean you kill. They can be killed, but that is what it means. It means like we'll never talk. Like, it's very black and white. So we will exploit this person, and then we will terminate them with prejudice, and that's it. And nobody will ever talk to them again from America. Like, that'll be it. So there's all these terms that revolve around playing this game. The other thing I wanted to say about manipulation is when you start and you're like trying to do this, you never know how you're doing against your counterpart, the person that you're talking to. You're just like trying to learn how to pull these levers and twist the knobs. And as you get better at it, you're like, I don't got to really twist this knob at all. That knob kind of takes care of itself. And then if you find the thing that is there, and you can always push that big button to get the response you want. Like, ego is great. You can play with ego but if you can find the more subtle things and get a person moving in a direction, it's almost like you take your hands off the controls, because you don't need as much direct, rough pulling left and right. You're like, I know that if I talk to a person in a certain way, everybody can watch me perform live, and no one will know that I'm doing things to encounter this person and guide them through this path. They'll never know it. And I may not know where I'm going to go. I'm in a delta, and I'm going to end up on an island. I don't care what island it is, because the island I get to will be an island that has what I need. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
it makes 100%. Yeah. I think the part that you're not revealing, which I will, is there's a starting point for everything, and that's rapport.
For sure.
It takes a second. We make decisions whether we're going to trust someone, listen to someone, or form a relationship with them in an instant. So in a game, whether it's intelligence or mentalism or whatever, the very first thing we are doing is building a rapport. And part of that is comfort. You want to trust not what they're saying, but at that internal thing of, am I safe in this moment? And that is the first thing. We don't think about it. It's a subconscious thing. But if this person stops and talks to me, right? If I bump into this person, or this person says, nice jacket, what do they, my initial thought is, do they want something from me? Mm-hmm. Especially if you're a nefarious actor. Why is this person talking to me? Are they a government spy? Are they a friend? Is this a random person? Who is it then? We all want to know, what can we get out of the other person? Nothing, even if it's buying a coffee, the person you're talking to on the other side of the counter, what am I getting out of them? They're giving me a coffee. They have a purpose. When you talk to someone in line, your mentality at that moment is not, what do I want out of them? But what you want is someone to talk to while you're waiting in line. Rapport building, whether it's in business, in intelligence, or on stage, is step one. Only after that feeling of safety, that feeling of connection happens, then you can do the second part, which is, if you're coming in, if you have an asset and you want to get them on your side, you're going to get a dossier, you're going to get information about them. They play backgammon, they collect this. Well, you can't say, excuse me, do you play backgammon? And they go, yeah, well, that's a red flag. How did this person know? That's weird.
Yeah.
But maybe I am holding on to a backgammon set. Maybe I'm setting it up, waiting for someone, and they catch it at the corner of their eye. And I say, oh, you play? My buddy just canceled.
Right.
I got somewhere to be, but it is, and that's where I talk about manipulation. You are setting up a situation through words, actions, or environment where the person thinks they are doing it for themselves, but you are actually in control of the scenario.
Yeah.
It all goes back to rapport. It all goes back to saying things subtly. That's the key right there, subtly. But implanting those little droplets of information where the person goes, this person's like me. I can trust them. They do the same thing I do. If I knew you were a Disney person, I may have behind me a picture of Disney World. I may have tickets. I may have a random thing that only a Disney person would know. If you're an Army guy, I have all my stuff right here. I have my CIA challenge coin, right?
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I would be, doing this, and it
Yeah.
would catch you out the corner of your eye. You go, hey, you got where'd you get that? And I go, they got a gift shop. Uh, oh, you been? Yeah, I've been. Yeah, oh my God, what'd you do? Oh, do you know so and so? Yeah, I know
Yeah.
their name. And I've used that. I've used that when I travel and I run into people and I go, oh my gosh, do you know so and so? I haven't thought about them in 20, and all of a sudden we have a connection. If you're my friend's friend, right? My friend's friend, my enemy's enemy is my friend, no matter what
Yeah.
I feel about them.
Right.
And you can use that in life. I use it on stage. I bring people up and I comment on their jewelry. Something I do is I go to New York City, I'll go to Beverly Hills, and I'll go into all the fancy stores. And I'll go into, Cartier and stuff, and I'll just look around. And then when I'm doing my show and a woman comes up on stage, I go, oh my God, is that the Cartier? And they go, oh, you noticed. All of a sudden, I noticed something. I didn't say nice earrings. I knew we had the same taste. If a gentleman comes up on stage, I'll look at his watch and I'll go, wow, you got the Patek. Or, wow, you got this. How did you get the Citizens? That's a vintage model, man. Is that your grandfather's? No, man, I collect watches. Oh my gosh, you collect. And then you veer. Yeah. And I always say the greatest asset anybody intelligence can have, anybody in mentalism can have, is a Rolodex of just enough information about everything that you can start a conversation. You don't need to be an expert, but you have to have enough that it's not all BS. So if someone starts talking to you about travel, if you haven't been somewhere, don't say I've been there, right? But if you know that you're going to talk to someone and they're from Kiev, you can talk about your family that came from Ukraine. You could talk about, I flew through the airport there once. That I always say, I used to know a lot of people from South America, and there's an airport that has incredible pupusas. And anytime I talk to someone from this country, I would go, the pupusa lady at the airport's the best. Oh my God, you know her. Oh, she's a connection of place, a connection of food, things that touch us, things that are provers that you've been there. It could also be a person. When I was a kid growing up in New York, it was the tic-tac-toe chicken in Chinatown. Tell to anybody of a certain age from New York, you go, man, tic-tac-toe chicken in Chinatown. Oh my gosh! All of a sudden you got them on your side. It's the biggest secret to creating powerful relationships. I like this guy. I like this woman because we have a connection.
Boy, that's strong stuff. So you're 100% right. When you first start working on meetings, they say first step is establish rapport. And like the military, you'd be like, here is your card on first meetings, and you'll read, you begin first with the step of establish rapport. This will take 2 to 25 minutes. Following that step, you will move on to build trust. And I'm like, yeah, but how do you test for it? What are the hallmarks of it? How do you know? How does someone else recognize? How do you teach it, right? And you're saying all these things, and of course, like I use these tricks too, and I try to. So in my field, everybody's trying to deceive somebody. We don't use real names. We hide our rank. We don't say where we're from. I wipe all that out. I am trying to become Pete. And I love it. Like when the unit starts calling me Pete, I'm like, that's good. Now the unit knows who I am and they like me. That's because if the unit doesn't like me, I'm screwed, because I'm always added to them. And I love it. Like when the intel shop, like the young guy comes around because he likes me. He's like, Pete, we got an intel report. They've targeted you. The bad guys are coming up. It says, capture and kill Pete. And I'm like, oh, it's awesome. Thanks, man. That's good news. Because now it means now you get this. I'm in the game, right? So they know who I am and I matter, right? And so when I'm looking for these things, I'm trying to establish rapport, and I'm trying to communicate into a void where I don't know. You're trying to find a needle in a haystack in a field of hay. No one's even cut it yet, And so I have to figure out how to matter. I have to just grab needles from everywhere. And so I'm trying to establish rapport. And I know you'll appreciate this. One of the things I always say is the worst way to find out where the bombs are is to come in and say, I'm from America. Where are the bombs? It's just like patently ridiculous. And so the rapport thing for me is like, I'm in a combat zone. I'm with a bunch of creatine fueled infantry guys, usually, right, who wear sunglasses. So I take all of my extra gear off. I'm happy go lucky. I'm a California guy, and I'm glad to talk about women or have a drink if they offer a drink or whatever it is. I'm like Johnny Good Time. That's what I call myself. I'm Johnny Good Time. Just make sure, if I look like I'm having a good time, you guys leave me alone. That means I'm working. Because my peers, the Army guys are like, Pete's just screwing around. I'm like, they start to learn, like, they'll leave Johnny Good Time alone. He's working. And so I'm trying to give these guys a moment of any kind of happiness. And if I can figure out if I have another meeting, then I start to work on trust later on. And it's all on me. I have a trust bank. My job is to build trust. So I have to extend credit. Low risk trust here. I'd love to meet with you again. Would you consider it? And then they say yes or no, whatever it is. But all of that goes into that. And there's another aspect of the control that you're talking about. For me, I learned it was better to ask questions. And this goes into like the magician trick. Like, I want you to pick a card, any card. Well, that's already closed. All right. And so I say, tell me about your life. Or I'll say, what is the simplest problem we could solve right now? Like today we could go out and solve it. And then once they bite off and they go, yeah, you know what, there's a problem. And I'll take the challenge. Can we go fix that? And I'm like, let's take it to the governor tomorrow. We'll go to the governor's office. We'll sit down and I'll bring the Americans guys and we'll see if we can't solve that thing. And boy, oh boy, if I can get that to happen, now that's a magic trick to get someone to do that.
That's actually a really, you're down the line now in terms.
Yeah. I moved. I started from rapport all the way into like, yeah, right.
But that's the next thing, which is what we would call a prover. So you see this a lot with religions and cults. It's I'm going to prove to you that this little tiny thing is real, and then I'm going to prove to you the next thing is real, and then the next thing. And by the time I get to the kind of esoteric, we may not, you've already bought on to so many things along the line that if you challenge this thing way down there, do I have to reevaluate everything? We see it with politics, where a politician will start with a promise and they do it. But further down the road, they're just talking and they have their fans who say, oh, yeah, of course. And you go, how are they buying into this? Because they believe so much. You see it with religion. Well, this was true, and I felt this, and I experienced that. Therefore, everything else must be right. Cults, especially. Cults start off with little provers. If you do this, you will get that. Reward systems, stars on the wall. If you get children, we do it. If you do this, you get a star on the wall. If you do this, you get a star on the wall. At a certain point, we stop giving you stars, but you keep doing it because you're expecting something else. So what you're talking about is actually based on that childhood reward system. Let's solve what can I do? In essence, what you're saying is, what can I do to prove to you I'm serious? Well, we have a problem. I don't have with the CIA. It was usually I need money.
Right.
That was the initial prover. Well, we don't have enough money for a gun. We don't have enough money for food. We don't have enough money. All right, here's a bag of $25,000 in cash. Well, if he gave me that, there must be more.
Yeah.
You run the risk of it being tit for tat.
Right.
The best, what you actually want, you want to do, it will always start tit for tat. I did this, now you give me something. What you want to do is establish a friendship and a relationship, that rapport. So you go back to rapport building, always going back to rapport. Hey, I did this for you. And the guy goes, well, what do you want in return? I just want to have coffee. I just want to get to know you.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to know where the weapons are? No. Don't worry about that. Tell me about your family. Oh, your family is your son needs this special surgery. Listen, let me see what I can do about that. But in the meantime, let's just get to know each other. The best thing we can get in any relationship is someone giving you something without anything in return. They're giving it for you. I like you. I shouldn't do this, but I want you to succeed. It's I call it the ultimate end game in spycraft is, will they pick you up at the airport?
Yeah. No,
Can you
it's
convince
true.
someone to drive to LAX to pick you up? I have won the spy game. They will give me the nuclear secrets.
But it's true. When you act like you care about people, which is what I do, and I actually care about them, and you help them try to figure out problems. And for me, I'm like, look, I'm trying to balance an equation, right? And so you have the Americans in this side who are desperate to help, but we're just a Goliath and we have no idea how to do it. We have all these ideas, but we can't bother to listen. And then you have the guys on this side who have met every American and they've been promised and they just don't trust anymore. So I'm like, let me just see if I can broker anything. And I just become this broker. And because I'm a broker and I'm networking in all these directions, and three-dimensionally, I start to meet people that no one else meets because they're like, hey, Pete doesn't ask for anything. He just connects us to the Americans in a way and he explains us ahead of time. And so everybody comes with like better expectations. And this is how I help commanders win, right? Is I say, hey, you've already got a win. It's a party. They're throwing it. They're paying for it. They've actually basically said, don't do anything, but you can come as an honored guest. Come and stay for an hour and then walk away. And that's just a win. And then the commander's like, what are you talking about? It's a win? How is that a win? I'm like, because everybody came to the government and they all agreed on doing this party. They've done all the planning. All you got to do is just go and show up as an honored guest. Or don't come. It's a win either way. And then, so I've got to get the commander to trust me that there's a win there and just to let it happen. And I'll record it and I'll deliver it for him later on. And man, it's amazing. It's as hard to convince the Americans as it is to convince the locals. And then once you have a couple of these things.
Because you're Americans, you're dealing with goal-oriented people who are dealing with goals in the moment. My objective is this. I don't care about anything else. You're saying, no, your objective is this, but there's still 7 more steps down the road once that goal is objective is reached. And you had said it earlier where here's the card, you build rapport 20. There's the American military complex, the people that come out of it are incredible people.
Yeah.
There's an unfortunate side to taking orders, and that is critical thinking. You are trained to beat, what do they call it? You come in as a rainbow and you leave as a gray sky or whatever it's called when you go to basic training, right?
Yeah.
So you take all these rainbows, all these wonderful ideas, you shave your head, you put on a uniform, and you leave as a unit. Well, the problem with that is you are taught not to challenge thought. You are taught not to challenge objectives and not to do things that are not instructed by your commander.
Right.
Your commander's 20-something years old with a little bit more experience than you have. And the greatest thing we have are the different parts of the world and the different ideas we come with. Yeah. So if we can unlock that, I make a living with intuition and psychic powers and all that. But really what it is I'm using my intuition and instinct to make decisions. And if that is beaten out of you, all you can think about is what you were told to do in this moment. And if that was me, I would have a hard time with someone like you because you're standing in the way of my objective. If my objective is to get to point B, and you're saying to me, I don't care about point B. I'm going to meet this guy at point F, and I need to start this now. You're in my way. So you have a really hard job because you're not only putting your life on the line with the enemy, you're really putting your reputation and your ease of life with the locals, your own team.
Well, and that's a really big part of it. So I've got to have the commander get what I'm doing and protect me because he's got 4 things he's trying to accomplish, and directly I can help with 3 of them. But the close with and destroy the enemy, if the enemy's not going to show up, which this modern enemy doesn't just walk in like, here we are with our flag and our gun. Like,
they don't have the drum beats and the flags and the horses.
Right. So if I'm going to find out about something that no one else is going to tell anybody about, like a bombing or whatever, then I've got to work on other areas, right? Because there's just information everywhere. And that's how I approach it. And what happens is I meet people that no one else meets because I don't ask for anything. And I get past trusted relationship to trusted relationship once I've been there, right? And so I then get this will, I know you'll get this. So I'm Pete, the American guy, and I'll go to the Americans and say, I'm going to start bringing VIPs onto the American camp, and we're going to treat these Afghans, Iraqis, whatever it is, we're going to treat them like VIPs. We're not going to search them. We're just going to look at them like they're John Kerry. We're going to get at attention, and I'm going to take them in. I'm going to go take them into our chow hall, and I'm going to give them whatever they want and let them eat and feast. And we're just going to hang out. And, the Americans freak out because I've got the commander's trust. I like, let Pete do what he does. So I
make
get these
someone
people
feel important.
Well,
No,
oh
that's
yeah,
the
no, and
best way to build rapport.
believe me, I go to that sergeant of the guard, and I'm like, I'm going to do this with or without you. I want to do it with you. So here is what, and I explain the whole thing, and I'm like, this is your chance to be an E5, and go, I'm going to square this away, and then I will cover you. This is going to happen, so let me do it so that you look great doing it. And the smart ones are like, whatever you want, Pete, and the dumb ones are like, nope, I'm gonna have to be told, which is fine. Anyhow, what happens is I bring the Afghan on. We don't search him, which freaks everybody out. But we don't search him. I walk him into the chow hall, and I'm like, air conditioning, ice cream, muffins, stuff your pockets, and then sit down. And then these are important people, so their phone is going, they're talking, and my interpreter's listening, and we're just gathering information. We're having these conversations. I let the commander know. I'm like, hey, right around 4 o'clock, you may want to pop into the chow hall. You might meet somebody, and then they'll meet that person. Said, yeah, so now I've predicted the future. I've introduced them to somebody who was in our bios will have like a human shape that's all shadow.
Yep.
Like now I've put a face in that thing. And so it's like, you're not really a spy. And I'm like, oh, I'm not. Because I'm giving the commander wins left and right. I'm identifying people they don't know. I'm showing them the most important people in the region, and all this stuff comes not because I went out and said, where are the bombs, right?
Well,
I
the
built this machine.
terminology in spycraft is, customer.
Yeah,
And customers come in different ways. For national intelligence, it would be Congress or the president or any of those
sure.
people. But in your world, it is the commanders. It's providing your customer, whoever that may be, with the information that they need to make their decisions.
Right.
So often we forget that you're not actually making decisions. You're gathering information.
Right.
That's very difficult for people who do make decisions, a commander or whatever, to understand. They go,
Yeah.
well, what's this guy doing? Well, he's getting information. Well, it's not your job to act on the information. And part of the problem with that is you are, as you just said, establishing relationships, making them feel important, bringing them into the dining hall and introducing these people, these tribal leaders or whatever. And you are saying, you're important enough for me to risk my side. You didn't get searched because you're my VIP guest. You're all of a sudden it's an ease. Everybody likes to be somewhere special, whether you like the person or not.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go backstage.
And then totally right. And then they reciprocate. They're like, let me take you back to my green room. And I'm like, whoo, boy, that's a big ask. You want me to go out? How secure are we going to be? Like, you will be safe. I'm like, all right. So now it's me. Now, and look, we've worked our way up the trust ladder. So now I'm extending lethal trust to them. But when I do, and I'm doing this at the expert level, this is not something I encourage anybody to do. I'm doing it by design, and I'm being very careful and deliberate about this. And what I get to see and what I get to hear are things that nobody else gets to see and hear. And that's my job. My job is not supposed to be safe.
Greatest thing for spycraft was the selfie. Because you mentioned a moment ago that fun little black shape of a human. You get invited into the tent. You go, listen, come here. You're my friend now. Get in here. Well, behind you is the person you needed a photograph of.
Yeah, totally.
Little moments like that, and you're not being nefarious. You're not saying click, 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 click with your little Minox camera, or your spy watch, click, click.
Yeah.
You're being very open about it. There's a great expression. Harry Anderson, the great TV comedian from Night Court, was a magician, a very accomplished magician. And Harry Anderson used to say, tell them the truth, they'll never see it coming.
I believe it. People will say, like, I wear a shirt that says spy on it all the time because it's true, right? And so, like, I will tell them, like, are you a spy? And I'm like, yes, I'm here to ask questions. And if I ask you a question you don't want to answer, don't answer it. I'm never gonna put you in a bad spot. I am just here to help people. And if you ever get the inclination that's anything else than that, let me know and I'll back off. I never want to harm you. And every person I talk to on the outside of the American campsite, I leave it up to them. Like, I would love to meet with you again. I don't know what's appropriate. I don't know how you do it. I don't want to put you or your family at risk. Is there a safe way we can do this? And if they're like, Pete, you have to carry a bunch of knives above your face and walk on ice to do this, then that's on me to figure out how to do that. But if they're like, yes, I'll come pick you up at this time, we'll go to this place, then I work on, like, can I actually pull that off? But it's on me to work on keeping them safe so that they're not exposed to an entire military patrol showing up at their house and eating all their chow. And, you know, and because I'm willing to do that dance with them, or the Americans, there's a different version of it, I I get to people that no one else gets to, right? Because there is this magic show going on all the time. And I tell everybody, it's show business. What I do is show business. What do you got?
I have
What do you got?
I have another book right behind me. I can't find it right now. All my books are a mess right here. It's called The Dance, and it's about
Mm-hmm.
psychic readings, and it's exactly what you're calling it. We call it The Dance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book by a guy named Brad Henderson, and he talks about this give and take of information. And you get it and it bounces off, and it is a dance. It is a delicate dance of trust and emotions and relationships. And you're talking, it's so interesting because I'm listening to everything you're saying, and I would imagine people are watching this going, oh, so interesting, I wish I had you. To the person watching this, you don't have to be in enemy territory to be doing this. Everybody works in an office, they have family, they have friends, they have the postman. Use this in your daily life. And you had said something a moment ago, which is, I do care about them.
I do.
You prefaced it by saying you have to act like you care about them. And then you said, well, I do. That's actually a secret. You really do need to care about these people. It could be in that moment, but it can't be an act. People pick up on that. Oh, this guy doesn't really care about me.
Yeah.
You have to love people. You have to find the love in the person that you hate the most. It also will make your life a lot easier. But there are bad people everywhere. And if you find something good in most people, look, there are groups and organizations that I don't support. But if it was life or death, I'm going to make friends with the most hated person in the world to get what I need and bring it back to end that person, to end their objective. So I'm not suggesting everybody, finds good people on both sides. There sometimes aren't. But understanding your enemy, finding love in that moment for your enemy so you can achieve your objective. If you're watching this and you're going, how the heck do I use this in real life? You got a person you don't like at the office, cozy up to them. Become friends with that person. It may kill you. It's only for a couple hours a day, but you are going to gain so much more from getting their trust than you will ever get from hating them. Doesn't mean you need to actually like them, but in that moment, you must care. You don't act like it. You find it in your heart to actually care.
Yeah. If you can understand someone, and you talked about this earlier, what I would call a fence building. How do I become like a person? Oh, is it like that? Oh, it's like this here. And even if it's a mile apart, you just slowly build that fence into your own unified meetings, turn you into a combined fence. And that's for sure. And at my job, like when it's most dangerous, because my job is to find the most evil person in the valley and identify them. My job at its hardest is to flip that person and make them our asset. And so my peers in my community, in my job, but also like the people who kill people for a living in my world, they're like, all right, now we're gonna kill that guy. And I'm like, whoa, hold on, that's my friend Mohammed. Let me see if I can do some work. Like it's always time to kill the guy, but if I can flip this guy, and even if my flipping flips him on or flipping back, that's fine. That's the game. But if I can turn that person into an asset, oh boy, what an asset that is. And if I can get them to even just let off steam and just be like, you know what, I didn't think it was possible to come back to real life, but if you guys can rehabilitate me, and because we always have a program for these things. Well, you can't do that if you're not willing to sit with that person. This is a vile, evil person. Maybe they'll be in jail for the rest of their life. But for right now, if I can get them off the battlefield as that person and not use violence to do it, that's viable. And it might change everything. That person might have their come to Jesus moment. They might flip on everybody. You don't know. But I do know is that if they're dead, none of that happens.
It is sometimes keeping someone alive when you really want to get them killed is it's again, they're thinking in terms of the moment. My objective is to get rid of this person.
That's right.
But we can get 30 more objectives done if we keep them alive. And we also, there's that other part, which is also you need to protect yourself. And I think sometimes what happens is people hear these stories and they say, "Oh man, you became friends with that evil person." And no, 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 no. In that moment, in that relationship, I love them as my brother, but I
Mm,
never forgot who they are.
yeah.
I never forgot why I'm becoming friendly with them. And when it is necessary, I will I will terminate that friendship and we'll see what happens.
Yep.
But
That's
that's
right.
life. Right now, you and I are talking because we got to talk. If you do something horrible tomorrow, I may have to end that friendship. It's always seeing the big picture. It's always being able to look at something. Magicians
Yeah.
do this really well. I'm going to take you from A to B. I'm already thinking about D, E, F, and G.
Right. Yeah.
You don't realize that. That's where time manipulation. Uh, if I'm going to do a setup here, the payoff is down the road. That's where the
Down the
miracle
road.
occurs.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you make a miracle? By taking your time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that the whole thing about, and I don't know how you guys approach this, but again, at my level, when you reach like a mastery level and you no longer need to control the conversation to have control of the conversation. That's, it's like I liken it to riding bareback with no reins. I'm going to go someplace that I need to go to, and I'm always going to find what I need to find. And sometimes all I need to do that meeting is just exist in that meeting. Like not
Right.
every meeting has to have an A plus. I always look for a golden nugget, but sometimes you're just there to meet people, and then it's not a meeting where you find anybody. But for the most part, if I just let go of the reins and trust my instincts, what it got, however it is, I will find the person I need to talk to, and I will find information that no one else. I'll be in the same patrol as everybody else. There'll be 20 people asking questions, but I'll have the report. The commander's like, "Hey, Pete, come talk to me about this report
Mhm.
because I'm
I'll give you an
getting something
example.
different."
I'll give
Yeah,
you an example from my world, which is a psychic reading. You and I sit down,
yeah,
you come into the psychic, and you say, you sit there with your arms crossed, you go, "I'm not giving you anything."
already
And I
offering
go,
something.
well, yeah, because I know there's something. I'm not giving you
Yeah,
anything means there's something. And
yeah,
I'll look at them if I'm doing a palm reading, I'll read their palm or tarot or crystal ball. And once we build that rapport, and there are tricks to getting real quick rapport, and once I say something that hits, now they'll show it on their face. They'll go, you know, I can then do this. Well, what is it you're hoping I'm looking? I'll say, is there something going on that you were hoping I'm going to find?
mhm.
And the staunchest, I'm not giving this guy anything,
Yeah,
will go, well, I was actually, I got my wife, and
yeah,
they will lean in and they will
uh,
just open up because we all want that.
mhm.
You need to prove yourself. And that's what we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
You can't go
yeah,
in and say, some psychics will say, what's on your mind? They're not going to be that successful. But if you walk in just like a therapist and you build up rapport, even if it's just a short amount of time, you will gain trust. You will get more information from them. And then you can do that delicate dance back and forth
hmm,
and help someone. Uh, and again, it is manipulation. It is cheating a little bit because you're using a technique, but it is based in reality. It is based in trust and intuition and instinct. Whether it's on my side, which is for entertainment and life experience, on yours or yours for gaining information, we're both doing the same thing, which is giving someone something they want. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
usually attention, love, and respect.
Boy, you know it. Yeah, that all of those things. Just learning to shut up and not be the smartest person in the room, and especially when you're in their room. Like, let me just, yeah. I'll tell my interpreter all the time. I'll say, um, you're going to hear me ask questions that I know the answer to. I want you to answer the question anyhow because I'm asking this person that question and I want their response. I'm not asking so I know. And then almost because the spell is so strong when you cast it well, my interpreter will look at me like, Pete, you know the answer to this question. And be like, yeah, motherfucker, ask the question. Remember I told you? And then like, oh yeah, then they come out of the spell and they're like, sorry, we're working here. The other thing about this too, and this is all part of the dance, because while the interpreter is talking to the person, I am not focused on their faces necessarily. I'm looking at other things because the room is full of information. And so, like if I'm writing down a name on a piece of paper because they said Bob. I don't have to look at my hand, write Bob. I just write down Bob. And if it's not perfect, I don't care about penmanship. I just care that they know Bob is in there. But I'm watching and I'm looking, and there's body cues. Like, if for me, and look, I'm not a body reading expert. I just know I look for patterns. So if the hands are above the heart, or if their feet get off, right now you can't see, but if the feet go off the floor, this is excitement. And I'm trying to determine what got them excited. Can I get them excited again? If they put their hand in front of their mouth when they're telling me something, or if they do the international sign for, all right, I'm going to tell you something. If they do that, right, I'm paying attention. Now that I see that they're doing that, I'm going to have my interpreter listen carefully to what they're saying. I'm trying to now figure out, like, why, like, what about what they're saying is a double shoulder check over, like, even if there's obviously no one there and they still do it, because, like, it's just the international, and it's like, it always works. Like, I'm going to let you in on a secret. And that secret is important. So spend time on that secret, because that is something that the commander's not going to know. And no one in my group is going to get that secret out of somebody. And if the secret is mundane, it doesn't matter, because you're in a spot where you've opened part of the safe.
There's something else which links into what you're saying. You're in this meeting, they're leaning in, the body language is telling them this. The fact that they are sitting with you, even if they're sitting with you to say, get out of my life, I'm going to get on your way back, watch your back.
Yeah.
The fact that they are with you, they have put their life in danger. I was in a Middle Eastern country. I went to a dinner party at someone's house. The government did not like that they had a dinner party where I entertained, and that person was gone for a month or two. And they were very wealthy. You would think that this person would be protected. No, they went away for 2 months. And I'm very cognizant whenever I meet with someone that they are putting themselves at risk for being with me or with you or whoever. I don't do that kind of work. So their risk with me is different. They're coming up on stage, and their being on stage is uncomfortable. Anything can happen. Will I make them look embarrassed? Their being on stage with you in front of the curtain is someone going to see me and misinterpret this? Is there a picture? Is the government going to question me? If there's a change, and again, we tend to think in terms of the moment, but you got to think down the line. There's a change in regime. This meeting, which is sanctioned by everyone, now becomes really dangerous down the road. And we saw that. We saw that in Afghanistan. There was a change in regime recently, and all of those people who thought they were protected were all of a sudden in danger. So always, even if you don't like the person, and I do a lot of shows where I don't like the person on stage with me, they are not helping the show, they think they're being funny and they are not, or they're drunk or whatever. At the very base, the very bare minimum, I am so thankful that they have taken the risk to be up on stage with me, in the same way they've taken the risk for their lives to be with you. Or if you're in an office setting where someone comes in and gives you a little gossip or something, they've taken a professional risk. Those are all reasons to respect someone. You don't need to like them. You don't need to trust them. Find little things. I respect you for taking a risk to come to talk to me. I can't stand you. You're a disgusting human being. But,
The work that you do, you do hit the entertainment thing. And because you're a different kind of, like, I'm never famous when I do, like, I know warlords and I know criminals and people like that. But your face goes on a billboard, or, you meet some person and you can become known for that. How does that impact your work? I mean, like, one of the briefs in your packet says you got kicked out of the Cosmo, because of what you do. But there is a thing. Like, here's the funny thing is, I'll say I was a spy, and everybody's like, meh, whatever. Like, they don't believe me, and I'm like, I'm just being honest, and I'm a really fucking good spy in my little setting. You're not going to out collect me. Like, I'm just really good at it. Nobody cares, right? But it's different.
So I come in with a couple different things. I'm at a point in my career where my market is ultra high net worth individuals and families, CEOs, anybody who has more money than they know what to do with can hire me, private clubs and corporate events, right? I am coming in with the understanding that none of those people know who I am. They know they're coming to see a show. They've usually been misinformed and think they're seeing a magic show. So the first thing I do is I walk around during dinner or cocktails or whatever it is before the show, and I start to build a rapport. I get to know people. I say, "Have you ever seen a mind reader?" "Mind reader? I thought we were seeing a magician." "No, no, you got it wrong. Oh, really? That's interesting. Is that you?" I go, "Yes, lady, that's me." And what I'm doing is I'm letting them know that I'm a person, that it's not going to be an act, that I'm fun. I've already met them. And they see me doing it with everyone. So I'm not setting anything up. I'm just building rapport. I've never had problems because I'm not well known. And I actually think in my industry, being more well known saves you a little bit of time. The first 15 minutes of my show are me doing things that establish my credentials. So I am doing something where I have the audience think of something and I know what they're thinking of. And then the second thing in my show is I do body language readings where I have someone write down something and I know who wrote what based on how they're standing or what, tells is what we would call it. And I'm saying to the audience, look, there's some truth to what we're doing tonight. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of fun stuff, but the basic of it is real. And I'm starting with the real stuff and we'll move into the fantastical. So for the first 15 minutes, I am saying to my audience, I am worth your attention. I am worth your time. If I had a billboard, if I had a TV show, I don't need to do that. They're excited to see me, Michael Gutenplan.
Okay.
I'm not there yet, and I'm well aware of that. I don't have an ego to say, "Don't you know who I am?" I think the mistake people make is they think that because they have the name mentalist, magician, psychic, whatever, they don't need to prove who they are. 100% you need to prove who you are. Unless you are David Copperfield doesn't need to prove who he is. I know the name David Copperfield means best magician in the world. Penn and Teller, they don't need to prove who they are. But Bob the magician, you better start by showing me you're worth my attention, or I'm going to continue the show by talking to the person next to me. That's just life.
Yeah. And you're right. There's something about expertise comes before fame, and sometimes fame comes before expertise. And that is a real interesting thing.
Well, it's a pyramid mentality. I'm a big believer that if fame comes before expertise, you are building a pyramid from the top down, and it's going to crumble in on itself. You'll get to a point of success, and you won't be able to sustain it. If you build up expertise to the point of fame, when you get to that pinnacle, when you have that one shot, you're set. You're golden. You do not. I see this with a lot of amateur magicians where they get on television or they get an opportunity at a show or something, a big shot, and they go, "What am I going to do?" And I'm sitting there going, "Do your act.
Do your act."
I don't have an act. I do tricks on YouTube. And you go, you jump in the line. We're going to help you out. We're going to make you look great, but slow and steady. It's not that you win the race, is you stay in the race. If you do the sprint, you're huffing and puffing as I walk by you.
Look at that guy breezing by me. How's he making it look so easy? So
speaking of magic and magic castles and stuff, why don't I tell you about what I'm doing? So as I was saying a moment ago, I have this unique market, which is ultra high net worth and fancy people. And I had a realization the other day. I can't afford to see my own show. I couldn't afford to pay for me to see my show. I can't. And I said, that's ridiculous. So I am taking a little bit of time and I'm investing in my business. And what I realized I needed is a promo video that is as good as my show, because my promo video right now shows the show, but it shows it in a club setting where you're or someone's house or something, and you go, if you're at a corporate event or you're at a theater and you watch this promo video, you go, well, that's not for us. We're not rich people. We're normal people. We're the masses. So what I am doing is I am renting the Magic Castle in Hollywood, California, the greatest place for magic. I'm doing a film shoot, a complete TV shoot with 5 cameras, producers, directors, and I am performing my show. It's actually plus, because it's going to be 90 minutes of material. Normally it's an hour show. I'm doing all my material. We're getting it on film. We're going to edit it down so I can have a great promo video. But more importantly, I'm going to send it out to theaters and organizations and say, you too can have this incredible show, just like the rich and famous do. And I realize that to show them what it is, I need to present myself in the quality that I believe it already is. So I'm inviting the public. I'm saying this is your shot. It's not a night at the Magic Castle,
Right.
but it is filmed at the Magic Castle, and it's my chance to say, come see me on this incredible stage and experience 90 minutes of wonder and the most incredible psychic entertainment you'll ever experience. This is something you, up until this point, would never have been able to experience. And I'm so excited to give that out to people. Why should I just film it? Why shouldn't I invite everybody in with me? There it is. There's an easy way to come in. You can go on my website. It's www.mentalist.show. It's not mentalist.com. It's mentalist.show. Or you can go on any of the social media platforms and send me a private message. It's Amazing Mentalist is the tag on anything. Amazing. If you go on Instagram and you type in Amazing Men, I pop up. Look, I just popped up underneath. So if you type in Amazing Men, on Instagram, whatever, my little profile pops up first, but it's Amazing Mentalist is the Instagram handle. And send me a message. Say, hey, I'd love to come to your show. It's November 8th during the daytime. It starts at around 11 a.m. We'll have audience seating. And I believe that we have, I don't call them powers. I don't believe we're given secret magic powers, only some of us. I think everybody has psychic potential, and my job is to unlock it. My job is to show you that you have these inklings of ESP, and if you trust your intuition, trust your instinct, and allow yourself to believe, incredible things will happen.
I love it. Yeah, and we talked a lot about tradecraft and all that to get to this point, but that's why we spend time in there, because it's really neat what you're able to do, and the fact that you have this show is. And I'm trying to type in your handle here on.
I'll tell you. I'll let you type in. I'll tell you something that wasn't in my profile. I actually did a show in DC. Oh gosh, it was about 15 years ago, called The Spy Magic Show, and it was all about how intelligence agencies have used magic. It wasn't a mind reading show, but it was how intelligence agencies used magic and stuff to transmit secret messages. And I did a show based on that. And it was really fun. We had a lot of people from the intelligence community come on in and watch the show. And some of it was fantastical. Some of it was real. But my favorite part was I got invited to Langley on their first floor of the CIA. They have a museum. And I got to go through the museum, and they showed me in my show, I talk about spy coins. And I think I have one here somewhere. Nope, I don't have here. But they talked about the spy coins where you can put stuff in, and they showed me an early prototype that they have in a museum for a split coin, and how it was opened through tapping it like a certain way. I thought that was really neat of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of things. I mean, you're trying to avoid detection, dead drops, all this stuff. It's all magic tricks, and it's great. It's great to have you on. I'm looking forward to
don't go anywhere yet. I just want to take out.
I am going to go to the
I have it here somewhere. Here it is. Here's a great book. There are two books I'm taking out from my cabinet right here. I'm still here, folks. The first book is the official CIA Manual of Trickery and Deception, Declassified. This is an actual. It's written up, but they found one copy of this manual, and it's from the OTS, so it's pretty old. But it's an actual. If you go to the CIA, they say no. This is actually our manual. It was found in an archive somewhere. It talks about MK Ultra and kind of the stuff like that. But it actually is a really interesting read if you're interested in how magic and spycraft have worked together. There's also another book called Magician, Magi, CIAN, by Ben Robinson, an incredible actor, magician, and author of many books. But Ben writes about John Mulholland during his time with the CIA and MK Ultra and all that kind of stuff. And it's a really fascinating book. So this is Magician by Ben Robinson. This is the CIA Manual of Trickery and Deception. You can get this one at Barnes and Nobles. I don't get anything for these. I wasn't expecting to talk about these books. They're really good if you're interested in this world.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the this other book here. I'm trying to do the links while you're talking, because this is these are actually great books here. Here's I'm just gonna put that's the one for the Robinson book. Yeah, look in the notes below, and definitely look if anybody wants to go. I'm gonna go on the 8th, and if you want to go, I'm glad to hook up with you for the lunch or whatever beforehand, and go see the show. So hit me up in DMs or whatever, and we'll link up and go see it. I'm stoked about it, man. What a great conversation too. I didn't realize we were going to go in this direction. You get all these notes and prepare yourself.
Neither did I.
But I think it just goes to, it's just neat to get a chance to talk about how these things stream over, and you're totally right. Like day-to-day life, we all do things like this, right? Like we all pick up on these things. Have you read a book called Proof of Life? Have you read this by what's his name? Levin is the last name.
No.
I'm gonna send you a link for that as well too.
Please do.
But this guy sits down and he's speaks enough Arabic, knows enough people that he goes on this hunt to try to find this kid. Someone's a friend of his son who disappeared in Syria, and it's like it's a thriller. It's a thriller, and the book is fantastic. So I'll shoot you a link for that. But Daniel Levin is the guy's name. Everybody, Daniel Levin. Look for Proof of Life. But yeah, so thank you for coming on. Looking forward to the show in about 2 weeks. What else do you want to say in closing before we wrap it up?
Look, I think. To plug myself, you're watching this and you're going, this guy sounds amazing. I don't live in California. I guess I can't see him. I spend my life traveling the world, entertaining people. Don't hesitate to reach out. You'd be surprised how easy it is to make a show happen. Go to my website, mentalist.show. Send me an email about your event. I would also say that the thing I'm going to leave you with is, despite our differences, whether it's political, religion, location, color, gender, any of that kind of stuff, despite the differences, humans, all of us are much more alike than we are different. And the thing I have learned through my work in talking with people and reading minds is that we really are more alike than we are different. And the quicker we are to accept that, the quicker we are to find the commonalities as opposed to the differences. And it is much easier in life to be nice, accept the better side of people, trust, but verify, trust that not everybody's out to get you. And the best way to get back at the people that aren't honest, the best way to get back at the people that are giving you a hard time or really are different, is to live your best life possible. And like I said, it's just easier to be nice. You're going to live a much better life with that mentality.
I love it. Yeah, I totally believe it. There's universal values, and the most interesting things about people are the best things about them, not the worst. So focus on those things. All right, I'm going to run these credits. I'll be right back to you. Hey, thanks for watching the show. I really appreciate it. Right here, you can subscribe. Please do that. It makes the show grow. Hit that notification bell so you know which incredible guest is coming up next. Down below is the PayPal link. You can put a small subscription in. That is an enormous help. All that money goes right back into the show. And then right up over here are the next episodes you should listen to, curated by yours